So today we're venturing into, well, a really unique place, the Kamakhya Devi Temple in Assam. It's where the ancient, the mythological meets the very personal.
Absolute. Forget your standard temple tour.
Exactly. This is a proper deep dive into a major center of the divine feminine, Shakti worship, and some pretty powerful tantric practices.
And the sources we're looking at today, they really give us a rounded view. The myths, the unusual rituals, and what it all means spiritually.
Right. Our sort of mission here for you listening is to try and understand why Kamakhya is so potent. And maybe a bit controversial. It really challenges ideas about, the feminine divine and ritual purity.
It certainly does. It pushes boundaries.
Okay, so let's get into it. Where do we start? The foundation seems right.
Yes, the foundation myth. It all circles back to Sati and how the Shakti Peethas, these sacred sites, came to be.
Ah, yes, the story of Sati. Her father, Daksha, insults Shiva.
Her husband, yeah.
Yeah.
And Sati, in protest and devotion, she immolates herself. It's intense.
Incredibly intense. And Shiva's reaction, this grief, leads to the Tandava.
The dance of destruction. Our sources describe it as threatening the entire cosmos. Just pure raw grief and power.
Until Vishnu steps in.
Right, to calm Shiva down and save creation, essentially. He uses his disgust, the Sudarshana chakra, and Sati's body is, dismembered.
And the parts fall across the subcontinent.
Exactly, 51 pieces, traditionally. And each spot where a piece landed becomes a Shakti Peetha, a seat of divine feminine power.
Okay, so that sets the stage. How does Kamakhya fit in specifically?
Kamakhya is considered uniquely powerful because it's believed to be where Sati's yoni, her womb, her genitals fell.
Right, that's fundamental and immediately different.
Very different. Because the central object of worship isn't an idol, a statue, like in most temples.
It's what? A rock formation.
Yes, a yoni-shaped cleft or crevice in the rock. And sources mention it's naturally moist, fed by an underground spring.
Wow. So a very direct, very primal symbol of creation itself.
Precisely. And that connects directly to another really striking aspect of Kamakhya.
It is.
The veneration of menstruation.
Okay, this is where it really diverges from many traditions, the Ambubachi Mela.
Yes. The belief is that the goddess herself menstruates annually during this period, usually in June.
And the temple actually closes down.
Completely. For 3 days. No worship, no entry. It's a period of rest for the goddess.
Think about that, in contrast to how menstruation is often viewed elsewhere as taboo or impure even.
Exactly. Here it's flipped. It's not just accepted, it's sacred. It's seen as a symbol of her immense creative power, her life-giving force.
A celebration of creation, really.
Fundamentally. And this leads to that ritual with the red cloth.
The Angabastra. Tell us about that.
Small pieces of red cloth are placed over the yoni stone during the Ambubachi period. When the temple reopens, these cloths, believed to be soaked with the sacred fluid symbolically, her menstrual blood, though it's spring water, are distributed as prasad.
As a blessing from the goddess herself.
A very potent blessing. Devotees wait, sometimes for days, hoping to receive a piece. It's highly coveted.
That's incredible. Okay, so that's the core belief, the menstruation aspect. But there's more, right? The tantric dimension.
Oh, absolutely. Kamakhya is arguably one of the most important centers for Vamachara Tantra.
The left-hand path, which I think for many people sounds maybe a bit intimidating or mysterious.
It can, because its practices often involve elements that mainstream Hinduism might consider unconventional or even transgressive.
Like what, according to the sources?
Well, sources mention rituals involving things like ritualized sexual union, offerings of meat or alcohol, things that challenge conventional purity rules.
Okay, so why? What's the philosophy behind using these, unconventional methods?
The core idea in this path of Tantra is about transcending duality, dissolving the lines between pure and impure, sacred and profane, even male and female.
So using everything as a path to enlightenment.
Pretty much. It's about realizing the fundamental unity of Shiva and Shakti, consciousness and energy, through all aspects of existence, not by rejecting parts of it, using the energy of desire or even taboo things and transmuting it.
I see. So it's not transgression for its own sake, but as a spiritual tool.
That's the underlying philosophy, yes. And this is why you find many advanced practitioners like sadhaks and gauris drawn specifically to Kamakhya.
Why there, particularly?
The belief is the energy there is incredibly potent for these kinds of practices. It's thought to accelerate the attainment of Siddhi's spiritual powers and ultimately liberation, moksha. It's a power spot, energetically speaking.
And the temple itself, the complex, reflects this power. It's not just one shrine.
No, not at all. It's a whole complex. The main temple houses the yoni stone, but surrounding it are shrines dedicated to the 10 Mahavidyas.
The Mahavidyas, fierce forms of the goddess.
Yes, very powerful, often quite fearsome aspects, like Kali, Tara, Chinnamasta, the one who holds her own severed head, Hairavi. Each represents a different path to wisdom, a different facet of the ultimate reality.
So visiting Kamakhya isn't just about the central shrine, it's about engaging with this whole pantheon.
Exactly, and the architecture itself contributes. The beehive-like domes, the carvings, some quite explicit and erotic, leading down into the Garbhagriha, the inner sanctum, which is actually a cave below ground level housing the yoni stone.
Our sources really emphasize this feeling, this palpable energy you encounter there.
Yes, it's described as intense, almost electric by some. It's an experience that goes beyond just sight.
And this energy must peak during the Ambubachi Mela, the Bleeding Goddess Festival we talked about.
Definitely, that's the biggest event of the year there. Mid-June, typically.
And just to reiterate, the temple shuts down for 3 full days.
Correct. Total silence, ritually speaking. A time for the earth and the goddess to rejuvenate.
Then the reopening on the 4th day, that must be quite something.
Immense crowds gather. After purification rites, the doors open, and the main focus becomes receiving that blessed red cloth, the Angabastra.
It really crystallizes the core message, doesn't it? Divinity can bleed. Power and creation are found in these very natural, embodied processes.
It fundamentally challenges neat categories of pure, impure. And you see everyone there, tantrics in deep meditation, wandering sadhus, ordinary families, all drawn to this unique expression of the sacred feminine.
The sources also share some personal stories which really bring it home. There was one about a young woman.
Yes, who felt ostracized because she couldn't conceive. She went to Kamakhya feeling perhaps broken or inadequate by society's standards.
Then what happened?
She described feeling this sense of profound acceptance, a realization that fertility isn't just about literal childbirth, but an inherent creative power within her, mirroring the goddess. It was deeply empowering for her.
Wow. It offered a completely different perspective on her own body and worth.
Exactly. And then there's the perspective from an Agori practitioner.
What do they say?
They described Kamakhya as a place where the divine gaze is non-judgmental. It strips away your ego, your social identity, all the labels, and sees the raw truth underneath. A place to confront reality without illusion.
That resonates with the tantric idea of transcending dualities.
Very much so. And this power, it's not just spiritual or personal, it's had political weight too, historically.
How so?
Well, kings and rulers sought the goddess's favor. The Ahom dynasty in Assam, for instance, were patrons of the temple. Her blessing was seen as crucial for their power and legitimacy.
So a spiritual center with real-world influence.
Definitely. And that symbolism, you could argue, is still relevant today.
In what way?
Well, think about contemporary debates around feminism, women's bodies, bodily autonomy, the right to define spirituality for oneself. Kamakhya, in her embrace of the female body and its cycles, stands as this ancient, powerful symbol challenging patriarchal norms. A kind of ongoing revolution, as one source put it.
That's a powerful way to put it. Now, a practical question someone listening might have. Do you need to be like a tantric initiate to go there, to experience this?
No, not at all, according to our sources. The temple is open to all devotees who approach with respect.
There's this idea mentioned that Kamakhya calls people. What does that mean?
It's this interesting notion that people often feel drawn there, sometimes unexpectedly, maybe through a dream or during a life crisis or a period of intense self-doubt. It's less about deciding to go and more about feeling a pull.
Like the place itself is reaching out?
Something like that. And the experience of going, of finally reaching the temple, is often described as more than just having darshan, seeing the deity. It's meant to be transformative in itself.
So summing up, Kamakhya is this complex, powerful presence.
Yes. The mother goddess who bleeds without shame, who creates, who blesses without bias, who perhaps helps us see beyond our own illusions.
It's not a dead monument, it's alive, a dynamic portal, as the sources suggest.
Constantly pulsating with energy and meaning.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with something to reflect on, perhaps.
Indeed. Thinking about Kamakhya, this embodiment of unapologetic feminine power and creation, where in your own life, in your own being, is that inherent power, that sacredness.
What parts of yourself might you embrace more fully, free from shame or external judgment? Your own right to wholeness.
A challenging but potentially liberating thought inspired by the goddess.
Namaste. Jama Kamakhya.